Welcome back, everybody. In this video, I'm just going to introduce you to Visual Studio environment, which is going to be the environment we are going to be using to write our C# programs. So the things I'm going to go through: Visual Studio environment. Now I'll tell you what .NET framework is and the languages that are in the .NET framework. So this is just a set of libraries that allow us to write programs in different languages created by Microsoft. Then we are going to get started with a simple program, which is Hello World program, before we then go into Unit 1. This module is extremely practical. So in this semester, we would do less textual stuff, less stories, and we just go straight into coding most of the time. However, because of the completeness of your knowledge needs to be complete. You need to know things about who manufactured what you're doing and how every bit and pieces of this thing all come together. I will be giving you guys some practice and some readings to do so that you can get a clear picture of what you're actually doing. So let's dive straight into it. So the first thing you do, like I communicated with you guys a couple of weeks ago, is you should download Visual Studio 2019. And I assume by now you have it downloaded. On my machine, I have it here. So first thing I'm going to do is to launch it. I like to launch it as an administrator most times because then I have access to other things on the computer that I cannot have access to when I just launch it normally. So I click administrator. For most of you, I get this pop-up screen. For most of you, you might have your Visual Studio accessible from your start menu. That's also fine. You can say Visual Studio and then you can get it there and launch it. Sometimes when you have an earlier version of Visual Studio, what you're seeing and what I'm seeing could be two different things. So make sure you get it 2019. It's just easier that way. So here are some projects that I have before now. I'm not going to bug you about those projects. I'll just go straight here where I can create new project. In the meantime, there'll be a bunch of options we're not going to talk about. We are going to start with the first principle, and then later on you can spend the time to explore every other options when you understand the whole IDE and what is going on. So create new project. In this platform, a program is not just referred to as a file or a program. It's referred to as a project, which usually comes in a folder of different files that are designated to do different things. But we're going to look at what that means. So I'll click create new project. You can see all sort of options that I have. So for this module, we're going to be creating two types of projects. First is the console applications. So this one here is called console applications. Then we're also going to create Windows Forms applications towards the end of the module. However, you can see the languages are specified here. Some of them are written in C#, which is what we're going to be doing. Some are Visual Basic, or aka VB.NET, which we won't be looking at. But then these two languages are both on the .NET framework. So it means that regardless of the language I pick, I still get to use a similar set of constructs to write my program. But we'll talk about that at some point. So to make it less complex, we pick console applications, and you know why? Because that's what we're going to be doing this semester. Here we select a language, C#, that's what we're doing. Windows application, yes, we want to run on Windows. I want it to be a console one. So you can see it there, not a desktop, we pick console. So we get these two options. One is .NET Core, the other one is .NET Framework. Again, we start from first principle. So .NET Core is more important right now. .NET Framework, rather, is more important right now. At some point, you can explore .NET Core yourself by the time you understand this basic principle. The difference between the two basically is that this one is a newer version that allows you to ship your application to other operating systems such as Linux and Mac operating systems. So we're going to start with this one. Then I'll come here to click Next. Then I have a chance to specify the name of my program. So again, it's not typically called a program, it's called a project. So what's the name of my project? I can say DEV1B demo. All right. But just to make things a little bit clearer, first demo. Then sometimes this location is predefined depending on the folder on your laptop, but I have a folder on my laptop called C dev1_code. So I advise you create a special folder for your projects. So you can do that. And then there's nothing else for me to do. I'll leave this checked. Here it's asking for .NET Framework versions. What are versions are earlier versions, so I'll leave the highest version. Right now it's 4.7.2. I'll leave that. Then I'll come to create and I'll click create. Takes a couple of seconds. Yes, so this is the first thing I'm going to see. I want you to observe that the name that I have in my namespace here was the name I gave to my project. Again, we're going to discuss the details of that later. Then there is a class here. Again, we're going to discuss what a class is at some point. Here, there is a static void main that you remember from Python. You know what a main program is. Meaning, if I want anything to run, this is where I'm going to have to put it. However, also you could see all these curly brackets. They are just there to keep a track of the sections of your code. So the main program, you can see it starts with a curly bracket, it ends with a curly bracket. So I could just collapse that or expand that. And I could collapse the class or expand the class. I could also collapse the namespace and expand the namespace. I could play around with it. So this window is my code file. As you can see, the name of the file is here as program.cs. So this is my program.cs means C#. All right. Now let's explore the views that we have here. So this view is called Solution Explorer. I told you your solution in this case is not just one file like it was in Python. So it's just one simple file. The file name was .py. However, in this case, you have a bunch of other files. As you can see, you have the solution. In the solution, you can have one or more projects. However, in this case, you have just one project called DEV1B, first demo. Then you have properties of your project, which you shouldn't touch that for now. Don't mess with that. Just leave it the way it is. Then you have references, which are like supporting files. We call them dynamic link libraries sometimes, that your project uses to execute. So again, don't touch that in the meantime. Then we have application config. Those are also used by the system. At some point, you understand what all of this means. Also, I'll close that for now. I won't touch that. Then you have program.cs, which is the actual program. So this is where you put your program. All right. And on this side, I have what I call a server explorer. On this side, I can access servers. What are servers? Servers are computers in other places. And there are two kinds of servers. There's a physical computer server, and there's a virtual machine, which does not have to be a separate computer. It could be a virtual computer on a real life computer. So on the same PC, I could have 3 servers. So we're going to talk about that and how all of this fits in. Right now, we're doing C#. This is not even a topic of discussion. There is a tab here called toolbox. You see it's empty. It's used when you're designing GUIs. As you can see, the controls here are not activated. They don't need to be right now. So we also don't worry about this at the moment. If this is too distracting, you can just close it like that. So it becomes clear on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, where your Solution Explorer is, again, don't touch any of those. Just stick to this one, which is program.cs. When you collapse it, you're going to see the different structures of your program. You're going to see the program class, which is this one. You're going to see the program.cs. You're going to see the main, which is this one. All right. And the same way on this side, you have 3 tabs. You have Team Explorer. Sometimes you're connected to a team that handles that. Again, for now, you don't have to worry about that. You have class view. Again, you can view the classes of your program. Don't worry about that also. Then you have a property window. Don't worry about that. So in the meantime, I will just close most of these things so that everything is clear. I will just leave only the Solution Explorer so that you can see the solution that we're working on. On this side, we have the output window. Okay, so sometimes you may want to display an output in this window, but in the meantime, we also don't need this one, so I'm going to just close it. That gives us a big space to write our code, and I can enlarge the code so that you can see it clearly. And to get started, I could just write a print statement to display something. And as you can remember, in Python, print is just print. However, in C#, print is a little bit different. So we call it write line. So to print something in C#, you have to say console. You have to specify where you want to print. Console. In this language, you have Intellisense. This is called Intellisense. which is a list of possible things that you are thinking. So write line is what we are thinking right now. So write line, and let's say I want to print, I want to display hello world. Hello world. All right. So every statement in C# must end with a semicolon, with very few exceptions, but we're going to get down to that exception. So this is an equivalent of print hello world in Python. However, this is how you do it in C#. However, in C#, one more thing I need to tell you, I can run this program now, but I need the screen disappears after running a program, a console program. So I need to keep the screen from disappearing. So to do that, there's a line that must always be here. I can use read line, I can use read key, one of these two options, but I will use read key in this instance. So I'm saying the console should wait for a key before it disappears, and that's it. Throughout the semester, you will find out that this line will always be in all of our programs, and I want you to understand why. So when I'm done, I can click play here to run my program, or just simply press F5. If I click play, I'm going to wait for a few seconds. And my program is running, and this is my execution window that says hello world. All right. And that's pretty much it. So that is your crash course introduction to, if I want to put another print statement, I could copy this line and paste it. I could say, hola Bafitu. All right, and that's two print statements. I can run it, and when I run it, the same experience is what you're gonna get. And as you can see, there's hello world and there's hola Bafitu. All right, guys, so that's your introduction. I'll see you in the next video where I actually break things down a little bit deeper and we start writing some interesting programs. See you soon.